What's up guys, this is Zach with Top Deck Nation, and today we're going to be looking at the first place list from the 2017 World Championships, and that is going to be Diego Cassiraga's Gardevoir Octillery deck. So if you didn't get to tune into the stream, the finals was Gardevoir Octillery versus an interesting Gallade BKT list, and that was going to be piloted by Naoto Suzuki. So we will have that deck up as well later this week. But today we're going to be looking at the winning list here, and that's going to be Diego's Gardevoir list. So it's no surprise that Gardevoir made its way all the way to the finals. It's kind of a shame because the top 8, it was 6 Garbodor decks and 2 of the Gardevoir decks. So Pablo Mesa from Tablemon, really great content creator. Check out his channel if you want to. He was actually paired against Diego, and so top 8, both of the Gardevoir decks kind of versed each other. So unfortunately, if Diego or Pablo had been on the other side, it possibly could have been a mirror match in the final. But unfortunately, that's how the pairings were, so it ended up being a Garbodor versus Gardevoir match. So we're going to go ahead and go over this list here because it's really interesting. A lot of counts are pretty standard. As you might know, we posted a pre-rotation deck and a post-rotation deck, so check those out. But there are some really interesting inclusions in the deck. So I'm going to go over the deck here, guys. We're starting off with Gardevoir-GX. It's the main attacker of the deck, as well as the main form of energy acceleration. So we'll be using that Secret Spring ability. Once during your turn, you can attach a Fairy Energy card from your hand to one of your Pokemon. That's really good for just getting extra attachments on the board, and it does stack, so if you have 3 Gardevoir GX, you can attach an extra 3 Fairy Energy per turn. We also have Infinite Force, which is an amazing attack, 30 damage times the number of energy attached to both Pokemon. It only costs 1 energy, but more often than not, you're going to have several energy on Gardevoir. 3 or 4 is usually a magic number to KO something that's already powered up. And then finally, the GX attack Twilight GX, also really, really good. Shuffle 10 cards from your discard to your hand. So against a Trash Avalanche Garbodor deck, for example, you can see that Gardevoir doesn't really have any trouble because you just shuffle those back in your deck, and suddenly Garbodor is doing next to nothing. And Gardevoir also has a really bulky 230 HP, so it's really hard for a lot of decks to actually take a knockout. So most of the time, Gardevoir will come out on top on that prize exchange. So overall, Gardevoir is a really strong attacker, especially heading into next format, which is Breakthrough on. Does lose a few things like VS Seeker and Hex Maniac, but of course that means you can play thicker counts of things like Octillery and Rare Candy. So really, it's well positioned going forward. It also played a copy of Gallade because of this Premonition ability. You can rearrange the top 5 cards of your deck. Sensitive Blade is also good for a DCE. We're already playing DCE, so some synergy there. 60 damage. If you played a supporter, it does 70 more, so 130 damage. Really good against Drampa GX decks or Tapu Koko or pretty much anything that is weak to fighting. So in general, Gallade is a good secondary attacker, but it also pairs up with this Octillery. So he's playing a 2-1 Octillery line and has this Abyssal Hand ability. Once during your turn, you may draw until you have 5 cards in your hand. So this is incredibly strong. You don't even really have to have the Gallade. That's really just kind of a luxury, but this is why the deck is so explosive. Being able to draw those extra few cards every turn. Most of the cards in your deck you can kind of thin down, so you keep thinning your hand down, drawing those extra cards every turn, and you're probably not really going to be missing any beats. So in general, Octillery really makes the deck work once you're set up. We're also playing 3 copies of the Tapu Lele-GX that has that awesome Wonder Tag ability. Search for a supporter card, put it in your hand, and as you can see here, we're playing so many supporters here. We're playing just a lot of one-of cards like Acerola, Brigette, Hex Maniac, so Tapu Lele, really strong, and I think playing at least 2 or 3 going into the next format is probably the way to go since VS Seeker is rotating, so there's not really a way to reuse those supporters anymore. And then finally, we're playing a 1-1 split of Diancie and Alolan Vulpix. So I really like this move on Diego's part. My lists were playing a couple of Alolan Vulpix. I hadn't really tested Diancie all that much. On paper, Alolan Vulpix looks a little bit better in my opinion, just because it can attack for 0 energy. So more often than not, on turn 1, you can retreat out and beacon and get what you need. But Diancie can definitely have its uses as well. If you start with it, it's fantastic. If you're having a slow setup, also really good. And if you don't know what it does, it has this Sparkling Wish attack, which basically lets you search for an evolution and already evolve your Pokemon. So you can have a Ralts on the bench, use Sparkling Wish, and suddenly it's a Kirlia, so that next turn it's already ready for a Gardevoir evolution. So Diancie is really great just to get set up here. And of course, Alolan Vulpix, Beacon, search your deck for up to 2 Pokemon and put them in your hand. Really good if you already have the rare candy, if you already have some resources in your hand, or if you just need a supporter. It's really good in a pinch just to search out that Tapu Lele as well. Now, as far as our supporters go, like I said, we're playing a pretty thick count of supporters, and adding to that, we're playing VS Seeker, so it's a great way to just kind of reuse those supporters throughout the game. We're playing 4 Professor Sycamore, 3 N, it's our main draw power throughout the game, 1 Acerola, which is really strong. You don't really see that in this kind of deck because it's a stage 2 deck, but if you do have a Ralts on the bench or a Kirlia, it's a really good way to scoop up that Gardevoir. And I should say that you can Acerola a Gardevoir you've already used Secret Spring on, lay it down again, and then reuse it since it counts as a different Pokemon. So really strong combo there. We're also playing 1 Brigette just to make sure in the opening hand we can search out our Pokemon and hopefully get the turn 1 Beacon or the turn 1 Sparkling Wish. We're playing 2 Guzma. I think an occurring trend at the 2017 World Championships was playing a couple Guzma in the deck. I don't even think I saw a Lysander throughout the streams. I watched it pretty much every round, day 1, day 2, the finals. I mean, I don't even think I really saw Lysander to much extent. Guzma seems to be inherently better, especially in a deck like this that's not playing Floatstone, not playing Fairy Garden. It's just really strong. It's great if you are... It's great if you have a special condition such as paralysis or sleep. So I think going forward, Guzma is really going to be the way to go, especially in expanded as well. And then concluding the supporter lines, we're playing Hex Maniac, and I'm really going to miss this card. I wish they would reprint it in the fall, but I doubt it's going to happen because the full art is going to be an alternate print in the Shiny collection and the Best of XY collection. So unfortunately, we probably won't be seeing it for a while, but Hex Maniac was really just kind of a game balancer, especially against decks like Volcanion, Metagross, and Gardevoir, and Greninja as well. So the big 4 decks that I was expecting to see in the World Championships, definitely ability reliant. As far as our items go, we're playing 4 Ultra Ball and 3 Rare Candies, so searching out our Pokemon. It's interesting that a lot of players only played 3 Rare Candy here. I guess because they're playing a thicker Kirlia line, they're playing the Diancie. They don't have to rush it. You know, the format is slowed down a little bit. You don't have to go for the turn 2 Rare Candy if you don't want to. You can just sit there and keep using Beacon, keep using Sparkling Wish. So I can definitely see Diego's logic behind that. We're also playing 2 Rescue Stretcher and 1 Super Rod. I really like this because Rescue Stretcher is just ridiculously powerful. If you discard a Gardevoir-GX early on, you can just bring it back in a pinch. It's almost like you didn't really discard it because you've got Rescue Stretcher, which is acting like it. And of course, Super Rod, since we're playing so many Fairy Energy, a lot of times they're going to be discarded, and you really don't want to have to waste Twilight GX on that. So getting those energy back is really strong, and getting Pokemon back is a bonus as well. We're playing 4 VS Seeker, like I mentioned. We're using a lot of those supporters, especially the one-ofs, like Hex Maniac and Acerola throughout the game, and we're playing 2 Field Blower just to make sure that we are knocking off our opponent's Floatstones if they're playing the Garbotoxin Garbodor, fighting Fury Belt if we're not in range of the knockouts, etc. And it looks like he's also playing a copy of Choice Band. So a lot of the decks I saw played 2 or 3 copies of Choice Band. He's only playing 1 here, which is an interesting move, but I'm guessing his mindset is basically, you know, I don't really have to have Choice Band. It's not a must-have. It's nice if I have it, but a lot of times I don't even need it. I've already got enough damage on the board to get those knockouts. So, but yeah, that is going to wrap up the list, guys. So Diego took this to a 1st place finish at the 2017 World Championships, and overall this is a really good deck. I'm looking forward to it being printed at local stores, so be sure to check that out in the next couple months. But yeah, that should conclude this video, guys. I will have some deck battles up on PTCGO featuring the deck in the next couple days or so. I've been a little bit busy getting ready for school and everything, but you know, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll try to have more in the future. So this has been Zach with Top Deck Nation. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this deck. Are there any changes you would make? What do you think about it going ahead in the Breakthrough On rotation? I'm really excited about that, but I will catch you guys in the next video tomorrow as always.